million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. This is our 200th roundtable, so it's a milestone. We've been doing this for a long, long time, and I'm really thrilled that you're here to share this session with us. I know 1 million aims to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. This is a very audacious goal. These roundtables are our primary free offering, along with the blog where we publish a tremendous amount of content and case studies through which we are imparting lessons of entrepreneurship, lessons from the trenches of entrepreneurship that we come from the journeys of various different entrepreneurs. So we have a large free user base, and this is cornerstone program for our free users. This is going to be a working session. We've kept a number of based presentations to 3, and what I want to do is have a lot of time available after the formal presentations to actually talk to many of you. So we'll put up all the information about how to call in and everything later in the session when we're ready to take calls. If you're reading the show, please use hashtag 1M1M. And our Twitter handles are @1M/1M and @Sramana. On the Twitter channel, we push a tremendous amount of very quality content. So if you're not following us, please do. Now, YouTube channel 1M1M Roundtables is where we publish all our roundtable recordings. So this recording will be available there as well, as are all prior recordings. So you can go there and listen to prior roundtables, as well as there's a lot of other content, including 1M1M related content like FAQs and stuff. And there's also very cute cartoons which you would get a kick out of, since you are entrepreneurship aficionados like us. By the way, make a note, these are the teleconference call instructions. If you are getting ready to call in, and call in with any kinds of questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, whatever you want to discuss, we are going to try to accommodate as many callers as possible. You tell us in public chat that you're calling in, put your computer on mute, call the number 650-479-3208, access code 6648400861, and then put yourself on mute. I will ask for you, and then you can unmute the call. Otherwise, with a lot of people on the call, it generates a lot of echo and disrupts the call quality. Okay. We have to start now. One of the things that I find absolutely thrilling about this program that we've been running for several years now. Formally, our program launched at the end of 2010, but these roundtables actually predate the 1M1M program itself. Those of you who've been longer are been, kicking this notion of online mentoring in 2008. So it's many years that we've been perfecting this format, and I would say it's a pretty mature format right now. I recently wrote an article which is very read. If you haven't read it, take a look at it. It's called Mentoring Startups, 10 Lessons Learned. It discusses what we have gathered through this process of extensive online mentoring over the years. What I find thrilling about the program is its international nature. And you will see that to gather here. Our presenter is from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So Denise, if you could please unmute your call, unmute your line, and tell us what education is.
Thank you very much. First of all, Shannon, for inviting me to this 200 roundtable. It's a pleasure to be here. And we are very far away, but at the same time, I think we have a lot of things in common. We all are concerned about education and the way education is going in all different countries, right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, that's good. So let me go very briefly. So I can tell you why I decided to start Educatina. I was a scientist. I've been a scientist for 15 years. I got a PhD in neurosciences, and I also lived in Mexico for 5 years. And I understood that education is one of the biggest steps that everybody should have access to very quality education, but also in a way that the best teachers in the world can gather together to teach the students and get them involved because they are enthusiastic because of the study. Most of the problems that happen in education are the students are bored, they don't want to go to school. We have about 50% of our students that quit school because they don't see how this is going to be working in their job. So Educatina was born 2 years ago. So to the next slide, I will tell you a little bit more about that. So Educatina is the leading learning platform right now in Latin America. And when I say leading, it's because we have more than 3 million students per month visiting and studying with our videos. So basically, like Khan Academy is done in teachers from Colombia, from Peru, from Argentina, from Uruguay. Teachers are very enthusiastic. They are experts in their field. And we have reviewers that are also correcting every single material or content that we are uploading into the platform. Because we want to be the reference in education over here. The site where all parents will say, it's okay to study over there. Where teachers will say, it's great that you study in Educatina, because this is the place that we trust. And it's not only about videos, it's about community, it's about doing exercises and practices and win a lot of awards because you are getting progress. And get the teachers involved, because you also can see reports how the students are going into the study, so help them in a personalized way. So we also understood that this is all for free and a very good way to track students. We've done a tremendous job in that. We have tracked more than 3 million students in 2 years, or 8 million students every month in 2 years. And if we go to the next slide, you will see that you will probably see in all these numbers that we have about close to 4 million class delivered so far. A lot of activity in this platform. This is all for free, and as you know, a lot of the business in education are trying to figure out how to monetize. The key point there is you need to have academic validation. And we have done, and we've been working very hardly on that. So we have awards from the Ministry of Education here in Argentina. We have been recognized by the One Laptop per Child program. So we are included and uploaded a new program with teachers around the world in Spanish. We have things like that, and universities that are coming into the community to validate our content. But let's go to the next slide. It will show you how to really monetize. What's the business plan about that? And the way it is vaccinating a lot of students that are coming free and of them the one-to-one connection. You hearing me?
Not now. Go ahead. Now it's better. Some kind of noise is coming.
I'm sorry, far away.
Go on. Please go.
Now there's one connection.
Yeah, very well.
Video freezing, so I'm not sure.
Connection.
I'm not sure, because I see your video freeze right now.
My suggestion is on your side, turn off the video feed so that you don't block up your bandwidth. Maybe you have. Denise? Issues we always have with people who are from various parts of the world. We have no idea what configurations, what bandwidth they're coming with. And from time to time we run into technical issues. Denise, it looks like you're back. Can you continue, please? Please go ahead with your presentation. Learning, is this something you're trying to do as a for-profit business, or is it like Khan Academy, is it a non-profit?
Can you hear?
You off. You're off now. Go ahead.
Can you hear my question?
Now I
Is answered on this slide that you actually have taken investment money and so forth. So this is not a non-profit. You are trying to do this as a for-profit, which begs the question: how are you going to monetize? What I wanted to talk about that in slide we were on, where you're saying that you are taking the action that these students are having on your platform and then trying to tutoring sessions with various tutors on that are paid sessions, and you take a percentage of that tutoring program. That's what I heard so far from what you've put up here. So since we're not able to hear you very well, I think tutoring is very interesting, obviously. Online tutoring has had some success. It hasn't had huge success. We kind of anticipated that there would be a lot more success than we have seen so far. There was a company called Tutor Vista out of India. Actually, they started with Indian tutors teaching American kids, and that was a somewhat successful model. It was not a hugely successful model, but eventually did all sorts of other experiments and so forth, and Pearson bought the company. So if you're aware of Tutor Vista, I would suggest that you take a look at Tutor Vista and learn where, and what happened to them. I actually know the founder of Tutor Vista as well. I'm sure he will have more to add to that process. So in general, all the experiments in online learning, including ours, yours, Kami, MOOCs, all sorts of things, education has been one of the most active areas of, entrepreneurial activity, innovation activity, experimentation, technology innovation in the last few years. At the time, there was not much going on in the technology industry, in the education industry, but these last few years, the education industry has been really active in terms of innovation, experimentation. So I am bullish on the education sector, and I'll be very curious to keep track how your modernization model shapes up, it looks like you have a hypothesis that is not yet validated. It needs to be validated going forward with the tutoring model. I'd like to know how that goes. But it sounds like you're, trying to figure out how to monetize the large engagement you've created. And I'm really glad to see that you're not banking on advertising, because this is not a model that monetizes very well with advertising. I have to move on to the next person because we can't hear you very well, Denise. Rashad, you are next. Please unmute your line and tell us what Clean Fanatic is.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm Prasad, and the company that I lead for the last 2.5 years is known as Clean Fanatic. We prefer to call ourselves as the Domino's for cleaning. So the on-demand people who will provide residential cleaning solutions. Focus areas are sofas, cleaning up sofas, carpets, and mattresses. And we are on the health front. So basically, if you clean up the sofas, carpets, mattresses, not only are you able to prevent buying new sofas, carpets, but you'll also will be preventing a lot of health problems which come especially in a place like India, which is very polluted. Please.
Where in India are based? So let me just, before you continue, let me provide a bit of context for people who are coming from the parts of our world. So folks, in India, especially in big cities in India, the pollution is tremendous. And what Nishant is describing is the level of dust that accumulates on carpets or mattresses or sofas or just households in general is immense. And so it's causing a tremendous amount of health problems, health issues in these places in India. Go ahead, Nishant. I'll take it over.
Sure. Especially, in a place like Bangalore, so you have a lot of health problems. And so what we are doing is not only are we preventing this dust and allergens from staying in the house, we are taking it out, but in a side way, we are also preventing things like asthma and itchy eyes and all of these health things. It's not a correlation, but it is a fairly strong correlation, but not 1:1 correlation. We move to the next slide, please. The problem is that in India, there are no organized service providers with respect to cleaning. On the commercial front, like, the facility management for offices, it's fairly organized, but the moment you step onto the residential segment, you don't have any trained professional, you don't have any brands, you don't have any standard operating procedure. For example, most of my customers, before we got into the cleaning, used to depend on drivers or gardeners or even their household help to clean any kind of the expensive soft furnishing. So you would have people cleaning up expensive carpets by just brushing it or washing it and ruining it. In addition to that, I'm not very sure about how it happens in other countries, but in India, definitely, to get a guy to do some work, it's easy to get to outsource work to that guy and pay little money. You don't have a do-it-yourself culture. So they're in the middle of number of things. One is that the market is disorganized. Second is people don't want to do their own work. And that most of the households, especially the urban households, want somebody to do this work, but they have no choice whatsoever. They don't even know whom to go ahead with. That is where we are kind of positioned it, is that the guys who will clean stuff and as per se. So over the last 2.5 years, we've had slightly more than about 1,500 households. Most customers are through word of mouth, and we've had a fair amount of existing customers who called us over a period of time. It's satisfaction scores because the expectation is very low. Some of the things is that revenue per customer is something which we track on a month-on-month basis, and we've been going on. And the Bangalore market, which I think is among the more advanced cities, we are the market leader because 3M is actually trying to push some of their products through us. After 2.5 years and running almost full capacity, we run close to about 2 to 3 units. So we can do about 2 or 3 units at any point of time. So in a we can do that kind of thing. The demand is much higher than what we can supply.
Nishant, how much do you charge?
is basically dependent on a per basis. So we might charge on a per seat of a sofa, might charge on a per square feet of a carpet or one mattress. So we would say about 250 to 275 rupees, which is about $4 per of a sofa. Size typically would be around 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per customer, because we depend more on upselling.
Okay. So how are you doing right now revenue-wise?
Probably going to hit somewhere around 20 lakhs. Last year we hit about 10 lakhs.
In the March 2014
yes.
frame? Okay.
Yes.
You're completing in 2014.
Yeah.
Just a second. Is this people paying you as you complete the job, as you're leaving, or is there any kind of delay in the payment?
No, pay us immediately once the work is done. We advance, we don't wait. So when the work is done, we give them the invoice and we get paid.
Okay. Cash flow-wise, that's very convenient.
So why that's very convenient, we don't have to wait for it. Now, so the moot point out here is that, that the demand is much, we probably just covered, one part of South Bangalore. Forget about the whole of Bangalore also. Demand is much huge. If you look at some of these numbers, if we just concentrate on the top 5 cities, which might nice cleaning residential area, we might be sitting on somewhere around say 300 crores, which I think is 500 million, if I put it right. And alone would have an addressable market, extremely small, is close to 100 crores. I mean, it could be much bigger than this. So, these are numbers that.
How profitable is your business?
Sorry?
What is the profitability of the business?
Profitability would be close to about 30%, 25 to 30%, depending on how things work out. Depends on some bit of seasonality.
Okay, interesting.
Things that these are areas where we want to focus on to move into the 4 cities, especially Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, which is basically the north and the west of India, not towards the eastern part of India, which so cleaning we've kind of discovered in Bangalore, it's like mini India, and we've seen that people towards the eastern part of India are not so keen on spending their money or their share of wallet on cleaning, whereas people towards the west of India, especially like people from Gujarat or Maharashtra or up north Delhi, they would spend a proportionate amount of money on cleaning.
Okay.
So we figured out that the natural markets for this kind of area might be Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad. So this. So start off with establishing ourselves properly in the Bangalore market. As ourselves, we want to put the same model and source manpower for particular, like from Delhi or from Ahmedabad, and spread there. We might launch allied services like car cleaning services, but we've got a hands full cleaning sofas, carpets, mattresses. We're not even getting into house cleaning, which is cleaning up the entire house. We have one small fraction which is keeping us fairly busy.
To scale.
Yeah, that's where we are. So that's kind of stuck. I am facing so manpower in India is always an issue. I mean, I have very low attrition, but for me to imagine that I will have 500 manpower people and still not have any problems at the place, things like pilferage and all that, or customer complaints or quality breakdowns and all that. So eventually we are kind of managing it. If I expand myself to the demand that's there, it's a difficult thing to look at it. So I'm good franchisee owned for scaling up can be there, or what I need to do, like if it is company owned, what is the kind of technology I need to focus on? The smarter chips like Arduino or Raspberry Pi coming in. So if we can have that intelligence put into our machines, trying to figure out if your company would can click it, well, have monitoring systems at the customer's place, or then how a franchisee-owned model can work out, especially given that in India, franchisee models have not worked that well.
I don't think franchisee model will work. If you're nervous about the trust in the company-owned model, can you see how complicated it's going to be to establish trust in the franchisee-owned model?
The worst for a franchisee-owned model is that the span of control for the franchisee is his vehicles in that city or that geography. The model might be more difficult.
Company-owned model, you're going to hire people, and people are going to have to develop. I mean, it's like there are no companies with very large workforces in India that manage those workforces and hire people to manage locally in different geographies. I think you have the experience of managing a large operation. That's why you're nervous about it. But it's not like in India large companies don't get built. My instinct would be to go with a company-owned model, not a franchisee-owned model. I wouldn't try to do the franchisee-owned model with this kind of thing. And don't forget that India is a low-trust society. And once your brand gets marked, it's going to be difficult to re-establish the brand. To grow, you have to start, leveraging the modern techniques, technologies and so forth from the internet marketing and so forth. And the minute you do that, you also open yourself up to lots of, open criticism and open negative reviews and stuff like that. So if your brand starts to get mucked up, it's going to get mucked up also at scale. Just like you can build the business at scale, if it starts getting mucked up, it's also going to get mucked up at scale.
No, but could you just...
Yeah?
I just wanted to... So when you're saying, look at the technology part of it to kind of... could you explain that a little bit? I mean, I understand the risk, but what was it that you had in mind?
Techniques which you need to learn and to market your business. Right now, you said earlier that you're only using word-of-mouth marketing. A whole host of online marketing techniques go from 20 lakh a year to 20 a year. You're going to need to learn real marketing. Marketing would be on marketing.
Yeah, the problem is not so much about the demand generate. Well, how geared we are to match that demand. That is where I'm kind of grappling up with.
Yeah,
and that's because you are more leveraged.
You're a small company right now, right? Relatively speaking, you're running a very small company right now. So as you try to scale it, both sides of it are going to be challenges. But that's what everybody does. Entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We try to figure out how to solve a problem on a small scale, and then gradually we try to grow that solution so that it can address a much larger market and delivery side as well as demand generation side. That's what entrepreneurship and building a business is all about.
Okay.
On the company-owned versus franchisee-owned, my personal guidance would be to go company-owned, not franchisee-owned. Out a lot more checks and balances by company-owned models. Let you have at some point you've figured out that here's how I'm going to manage the trust issues. Here's how I'm going to. These are the technologies I'm going to use to control the process so that we can deliver service that is quality service and we can deliver something trustworthy. To that point, being really secure about it, don't even think about a franchise.
Sure.
Come back to other things, other questions and comments later. Let me see. Denise, able to reconnect, so we can maybe I move to the next person. Maybe we do a few quick discussions Denise's presentation. Denise, are you online? Yes. Not audible. We can't hear you. Sandra is next. Or is this person online? Okay. This. Here on the call. And you're calling in your name up on the screen. Thing that, and you will see it as we work with Ashwini's she has a program. We have chosen to be extremely inclusive, and it means that we are the people who have very concept stage ideas, which mostly you would not get people to work with you on and teach you how to put one foot before the other. We, analysis of the market, what's happening in the incubation space, we realize that very few offerings where an entrepreneur, a first-time entrepreneur who has never done a before, can go and seek help. Concept is not formulated, mentors are not willing to work with, and so on and so forth. So that choice, a program where a lot of basic stuff, basic piece of how to put before the other had to be brought together in curriculum. It's not possible for me to sit and hand you through, the of entrepreneurship at a time, and that's not really productive. So over the few years, we have really created a powerful curriculum, which divided into a core, and the core has 7 modules: strategy, positioning, marketing, customer relation, customer acquisition, financing, and team building. Someone who's just, entrepreneurship, let's say, and you decide that, okay, I work with an incubator or an accelerator just because I don't experience. It'll take me a long time to kind of follow my nose and figure things out. Pretty much something like 50 hours of core curriculum time, and let's say another 50 hours of elective curriculum time, and at your own pace. You can do it while moving on to a job. And we thought, we encourage this. If you have a job, if you have a paycheck coming in, if you're at this stage where you're just a concept stage entrepreneur and you've never done this before, you don't really have much understanding of how to put one foot before the other, we always prefer that you keep your job and do curriculum work in nights and weekends and learn the work of how to get this business to a certain level. So because you're doing it alongside a job, maybe it will take you a little longer and be worthwhile for you to take that longer time to learn the pieces. Otherwise, you're just going to go and you quit your job, you sustainably, especially if you have to pay your bills, your rent, your bills, whatever, your sustenance, and you have the knowledge with which to go launch something. It's a perspective. Most incubators actually will not accept you unless you quit your job and commit to your venture full time. We have a different perspective on this topic. The reason I brought this up in the context of Ashwini's presentation, and I don't know why Ashwini is unable to dial in, but I'm looking at Ashwini's slides and it's completely, concept stage out. It's just a few, nebulous ideas. And at a stage like that, my recommendation to you would be to spend time learning how to validate the concept and flesh it out and turn that into an actual, executable business plan to go about your jobs and jumping into it full time. These ideas, by the way, turn out to be innovative. We teach you validation methodology. Once you put your idea through the validation process, oftentimes you will see that the idea will invalidate itself. And because we have plenty of entrepreneurs who come into the program with the first invalidating, second idea validating, and then it's the third idea which validates, and then they build on the third idea. We're okay with that. We invest in you as the person. I don't care if your business idea, your first business idea, second business idea doesn't work out. We don't mind that. And we are the only incubator in the world who takes that perspective. So what I'm going to do is not spend time on Ashwini or Denise for the time being, because they seem to be not able to handle the technical difficulties at the moment. We will try if there is time at the end, but I do want to give other people a chance to call in. So folks, please feel free to call in. The instructions for calling in are on your screen. You can introduce yourself. You can talk about what business you're working on, what idea you're working on, what stage of business and where you are, and any other general issue that you want to discuss. So all instructions are on the screen. Just let us know in public chat that you are coming in so that I know to call you. With this time, and Maureen, why don't you put the call-in number and everything in the public chat, and I will go and on one. I will explain to you how we are running the world's only global virtual incubator, 1 million by 1 million. You how to use the program. For those of you who have been here or who have been part of the premium program or the tracking the program for a long time, you already know, but there are many people today on the call who have not been here before, so let me explain to you how to use the program. We're talking about we are completely online, completely 100% virtual global program. As a result, you see these kinds of technical issues when people are logging in from geographies where they have some sort of technical difficulties, incompatibilities. We put all that. We are a very patient organization in dealing with people's technical limitations in different parts of the world. Everything is online. 1m.com is the website where you will find everything. It has a tremendous amount of case studies, primary mode of teaching. And those case studies are all available publicly. However, in the program, everything is synthesized in video lectures, and it's curated by topic and lessons and so forth. So it's a different organization. The premium program and the blog are a different organization, but nonetheless, you will find a tremendous amount of material on the blog. Now, as far as the Entrepreneur Journeys book series is concerned, this is where we've started synthesizing lessons. The first 4 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys between 2008 and 2010, that was before the One-on-One program was launched. And this last fall, we've launched 3 volumes that are Kindle only. The other 99% Entrepreneurs, Feminism, which is focused on women entrepreneurs, and Seed India, which is focused on how to plug the seed capital gap in India. And basically, what we're doing with each of these are specific topics and synthesizing that topic so that you can get a for that topic, like positioning. Bootstrapping and positioning are 2 critical elements of the One-on-One methodology, and we very, very decent job of teaching you both subjects. And a lean, capital efficient startup, both of those topics you have to learn inside out. So you will see, more books coming from us on more aspects of those topics as well, and you will see those topics covered in deep treatments inside of the curriculum. Site looks like you'll see a lot of videos that essentially video FAQs, your questions answered, already preempted and answered. These rounds happen every week. Generally, we cover about somewhere between 3 to 5 entrepreneurs in the interactive mode. We work with them, their presentations, answer their strategic questions. Like with Nishant today, we were working on whether it's the scale model as a company-owned model or a franchise-owned model. So an entrepreneur has a topic or a subject that they bring to the discussion to figure out what is the best policy, what best strategy to. In Denise's case, my guess is she wanted to discuss monetization model, and I've been very happy to discuss monetization with her if she could get herself on a clear phone line. But in general, we pick 2 things in a particular situation, and we work on that for minutes, and then to cover more in the Q&A. So we'll go to Q&A after this segment. So, public roundtables generally are happening on Thursdays, 8 a.m. Pacific time, and you need to calculate your times based on your time zone, how that maps to geography. We have a premium program, which is a $1,000 annual membership fee. We have extensive methodology guidance in the premium program. As I was talking about earlier, we have a deep curriculum, and the curriculum is quite mature at this point because we've been developing this curriculum since 2006. Cases we've been developing since 2006, and curriculum has been live in the market since the end of 2010. So it's already been 3 years in the market. Lots of entrepreneurs are using it regularly, and the curriculum is getting enriched every month. So it is one of the best curriculums in the market, and I recommend that if you're trying to learn entrepreneurship, this is almost a no-brainer to use to get to a point where you can figure how to put, how to make decisions on where to go next and so forth. Help you with business development, introductions to customers, channel partners, investors, analysts. All of those are game, and Dex is open to our premium members. With that, not businesses are financeable. So please do not come into the program and expect to be introduced to investors right away. You have to be ready for investors, and we give you all the guidance and coaching required to prepare investors. And when you're ready to be introduced to investors, we will introduce you. There is a process of going to investors. So if you're very early, kind of ill-formed, not yet well-formed concept, that is not the time when you go to investors. These are the reasons why there is such a large rejection rate in the investor world. Over 99% of the businesses who go to investors because going too early, or being often with a business that is not fundable. Either you haven't done your homework, or business characteristics are not fundable characteristics. We will teach you to figure out, what is the right strategy for you. When should you go to investors? Should you go to investors at all? What sort of investors should you go to, etc., etc. So it's comprehensive and it's precise. If you go to our website, the $1 Million Club is you'll meet some of the $1 Million Club members, people who have reached $1 million in annual revenue. We will be adding material to that to kind of, numbers are much larger at this point. We're working with a much larger number of audience of entrepreneurs, so we have to figure out a way of keeping this $1 Million Club updated. We're working on that, but you will at least you will get a flavor of the kinds of companies that are coming in, and there are several companies that were forecasted to reach $1 million in this article that we published last year have reached millions, like Freshdesk and Happy Grasshopper were forecasted to be reaching $1 million, and they have reached $1 million. So it'll give you a flavor of the kinds of companies. So I published a very detailed ROI analysis by the 1M value equation. So we give you value across a number of vectors. As I said, we do curriculum, we give you strategy consulting in these kinds of forums. We do introductions, we help you with your media and publicity, we generate a tremendous amount of coverage for our companies. All of that adds up to a very low amount of value. And our estimation is that bill is $75,000 plus 5 to 10% equity. We give you all this for a $1,000 annual membership fee. And you're welcome to stay in the program for as long as you want to. We have people in the program for 3 years. So we never kick you out unless you feel like, okay, you've got what you needed to get out of the program. You don't need us anymore. You've found your stride. You're making millions of dollars in revenue, and you're off and fly. But if you decide that you want our help, we will never kick you out. There's no, I'm under pressure. And then also based on which you learn how to use the program effectively. Membership, by the way, I use this analogy all the time. There are machines, but with those machines, if you lose weight, the program and not doing the work is not going to let you lose weight. One is that gym. We will give you machines, and by using those, by executing on what you learn here, is how you're going to grow revenues. And we have immense evidence at this point. Because the program is 3 years old now, we have a huge amount of evidence that people who use the program well can convert that into revenue. About our methodology, we are very confident about what we can do for you. However, that comes with a caveat is that this is not automated. There's a switch that we can flip based on which you're going to be successful. You have to do a lot of work. So please, for 1M Premium, only if you're willing to do the work. Self-assessment is also available for free. Whoever you're working on, take your business idea, plan, strategy, whatever, through this self-assessment. There are questions that you should be asking yourself. If you're going out to raise money, investors are going to ask you these questions. You do need to be on top of these questions. It's it's just issues that are critical and compulsory issues that you need answers to. And if gaps, if this vocabulary is new to you, you don't understand what the hell I'm talking about here, you can use the premium program modules. We have provided the curriculum modules that are attached to those particular questions, but you do need to be a premium member to be able to access those modules. So, there's tons of material on the blog, on the website about how to evaluate, what to expect from it, video messages, FAQs, blah, blah, blah. You can, you're all very, very smart people. Entrepreneurs are very highly motivated, very smart, intelligent people. So I have full faith in you that you will be able to follow your nose and figure out whether this is the right program for you or not. I just want to tell you a little bit about how we have developed the curriculum and why it's working well. Case studies, 2006, and the way we develop these case studies is we tested success entrepreneurs, people who have built sizable revenues. This, by the way, doesn't mean people have been and have been acquired for $1 billion. For example, an Instagram or a Snapchat, you can't learn a lot from because they have not generated revenues. And as concerned, our definition of entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship equals customers, revenue, and profits. Speculative flip is entrepreneurship. Dangerous game to play. So we invited people to studies on who actually build revenues, and very granularly journeys, ask them questions about how they've mitigated various different challenges and captured those stories. So it's inspiring to see people who, like you, have come from nothing, able to take a concept, big concept, and then turn it into a really powerful, thriving business. And today we are in 2014, right? That is 8 years of doing these case studies. I find myself learning every time I talk to an entrepreneur to develop one of these case studies. I think over 100 case studies a year. So, talking to all these people, understanding what's happening in their businesses, in their sectors. And remember, the vector that's happening all through this is technology is changing, right? Between 2006 and 2014, a lot of things have happened. The iPhone, for instance, was launched in 2007, right? It became mainstream in late 2000. There's been a ton of change in use models in technology. Tablets are a relatively new phenomenon that took place towards the end of the decade, and that will have lots of new opportunities. The phenomenon is really going gangbusters now. Go back 2004 to 2005, that didn't really exist as a mainstream phenomenon at all, but it's very big. So the cases reflect that, developing trends, how people have taken advantage of trends, how people have spotted trends, and so on and so forth. So it's a very powerful body of case studies that we are teaching through. And then one is use video lectures to synthesize a lot of the lessons and so forth, and capture the nuts of the case studies so that you can, learn efficiently. We also provide you with the actual case studies, so you can learn them in format. It has 7 modules: bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, customer acquisition, and building. They are aimed with the segments. So Web 2.0 and e-commerce, all the web businesses fall under that. Cloud computing and business solutions, outsourcing consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare, online education, gaming. These are the 11 modules. methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups globally. Outside Silicon Valley and to some extent New England, headquartered in Boston and New York, there are very few systems, entrepreneurship ecosystems that have any, capital infrastructure. India is a big geography for us. It's a second geography for 1M, 1M. India's seed capital infrastructure is absolutely minuscule. So, on where you are doing your entrepreneurial work, you have to keep that in mind. And in Silicon Valley, it's extremely competitive. There's a good, solid seed capital infrastructure, but the numbers are still the same. Over 90% of the businesses that seek financing still get rejected, even in Silicon Valley. Why? Because competition is much heavier and the bar is much larger. And what has happened as a result of that is that basic entrepreneurs have to develop their businesses to a much higher level so that they can investors with a fully validated business concept. So let's go to an investor and say, oh, I have 3 customers. The investor may very well turn around and say, 3 customers is too early for us. You need to have 300 customers before they're willing to talk to you. The question is, and this is about seed capital, right? So as an entrepreneur, go from 0 to 300 customers. And that is the seed capital gap in the system. You, as entrepreneurs, have to bridge, and we have to create about it, and we've created a lot of methodology in 1M, 1M, using which we are trying to mitigate those challenges, and we will teach you all of that. But prepare yourself for significantly complicated journey in these stages because of just the market realities. The other thing that I here is coverage. I often say that PR, publicity, is one of the cornerstones of capitalism. So, building a product, and let's say it's a great product. Service, let's say it's a great service, like the cleaning service Nishant talked about. Great service. But if people know that you exist, how are they going to buy a product or your service? So PR visibility is an incredibly important piece. Yours needs to be an incredibly important piece of your strategy. The peer system, the journalists who are supposed to be covering you, do not cover early stage startups unless you have a funding announcement to share. And this is the fallacy, chicken and egg in the system. Results have told us over and over again have huge difficulty getting any coverage. Well, we do help with the PR process, a lot of clout in the media. And companies get a lot of publicity and a lot of coverage, both through media as well as social media. We let you use our Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn channels. We have huge presence in all of these channels, and we'll let you use all of that to get your messages out there, just because we understand that you do need to get yourself out there. So, something you need to keep in mind, you need a strategy to get yourself out there. Our is a place where we cover a lot of companies. Incubation Radar, the 1M Incubation Radar is a series of companies in our portfolio, and the other counterpart of the Incubation Radar series is the Deal Radar series, which is for companies that have crossed the $1 million mark. So these are people who are already in the $1 million club. These actually, the radar series are monitored by investors. So again, as you get ready, it's something that you should take into account. That's something you would want to be. Organizer of entrepreneurship development initiatives, whether it's a online media company or an entrepreneurship development organization, please feel free to use affiliate program. And I have roundtables every week this month, and for the foreseeable future, you will find us here every day, every week on Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time. 2020 is a book that published in 2010. It's a book, kind of an idea-generated book. So if you're an entrepreneur, you still haven't figured out what kind of idea you want to work on, this is a book you can look at, and if there's an idea that you like and you want to build on, you take it, and we'll be happy to help you, because this is it's something is open for you to its public domain, public work. You can take any of these ideas and build on it, and we have no intellectual property to challenge you on these ideas. That's why we published this book. Now, the One Incubator in a Box is program a lot of using to launch their own incubation programs. So a lot of corporate partnerships at this point, and the who's who of the large technology companies that are partnering with Oracle, Nokia, etc. But who the incubator in a box to launch or expand incubation programs within their organization. Also work with certain incubators, TIE, various chapters of TIE, all kinds of organizations. We work with certain VCs. We're in relations with schools. Anybody who wants to develop an incubation program, or if let's say you are in a geography and different geography from outside Silicon Valley and you want to build a deep tie into Silicon Valley, please consider using an incubator in a box program. It's a very flexible and supplemental program. We will never be a physical incubator. So if you're a physical incubator anywhere in the world and you want to develop a deep tie into Silicon Valley, work with us. We'll be happy to bridge into Silicon Valley and augment your program, provide you with a lot more resources. Quickly, the last few books that we released recently in the last 3 months, and back to so instructions. Who wants to call in? She said you'll be dialing in. Are you call?
This is Nipur. I'm on the call, so I don't know if you could hear.
Nipur.
I'm actually thinking about joining your program. I want to understand a little bit more about the incubation program. You say that you do partner with companies like Oracle, SAP, right? So how do these companies work with you? Like, do you guys actually then you do, do some of your premium members to these companies so that they can build? Work with them?
That's not necessarily the partnership that is the content of those partnerships. But if your business warrants that you need to be introduced to Oracle and the real solid business basis for that, we will introduce you to Oracle. But that's not the basis of the partnerships. The partnerships, I'll tell you what the partnerships are. So, for example, we run an internal corporate incubation program for Oracle. It's essentially is that within every quarter, we run contests with them where they solicit ideas from employees. They're looking for intrapreneurs to step up with ideas. We rest on these, and a set of intrapreneurs win those contracts and basically sponsors them to study within the one program as employees. And then their and their business models, business plans, and so forth, they validate. They then, local management, decide what is going to be the path forward for these projects. There's a kind of partnership that we are seeing quite a lot of. For example, we've just started a partnership with Nokia. We have a partnership with SAP. Their developer networks, in Nokia's case, they have Lumia, which is their flagship smartphone on Windows 8. So developers on Nokia Lumia can compete for 1M members, and Nokia sponsors a chunk of those. Sramana has a similar program with us where developers developing products on SAP HANA can to be part of the 1M program that SAP will sponsor them to be in the program. So there are examples of corporate partnership. But as far as you are concerned, as an individual entrepreneur joining the program, if you need to be introduced to or to work, depending on your business, we will introduce you. We don't need that partnership that is based on relationships that we have in the industry.
Thank you so much, Sramana. That makes sense.
Hey, Nag.
Go ahead, Nag.
Hey there, news to you all, first of all. Thanks for your time for doing this. Area and so I manage a portal called startups.com. I mean, it's a hobby, but I've been a passive for so far of your program. But now that I decided to take it a notch further, so I'll learn more about this program of yours. And yeah, basically, I wanted to learn more about the incubator in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Because I probably would be moving back to India for a few months or a year or so. So I thought I could use that program to try and set up an incubator back in Hyderabad.
Yeah, the incubator in a box is basically anyone who wants to be a partner of 1M can set up an incubator using the incubator in a box program, essentially. So it actually makes it very inexpensive to set up an incubator. If you go to the website, there's a whole section on incubator in a box. And essentially don't charge any markup, nothing. You basically get to use the entire 1M incubation services and offer it to your constituency.
On the I'm yet to go through all the content, but I thought I'll just drop in and say hello. So
great. Well, very nice to meet you, and virtually. And look forward to working with you if you do decide to move forward with your plans.
Definitely. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Nipur, again, if nobody else has a question, I can take a couple minutes here. Very few basic ideas at this point of time. I mean, I haven't done anything at all. So, as a part of the premium membership, I think you guys also go through, your the similar kind of sessions for them as well, right? I did read in your website on that. So basically, when I do come up with an idea and I become a premium member, expectation, can I come back and say, here is what I'm thinking of, what are your thoughts, Sramana, or do you expect me to actually do some customer validation and stuff and then come up with a plan and, and then say...
Talk to me anytime, but really what we recommend you to do is study the curriculum quite extensively and learn how to do that work yourself.
Right.
You run anything by us, you can ask questions in the curriculum and so forth, but you will learn so much through the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing we request you not to do is come without doing the curriculum.
Right.
Not join the program if you do not intend to use the curriculum.
Right.
One of the big, like one of our big advantages, which this is the mode which we teach you. And I'm not going to do the work of learning through the curriculum. This is going to be very difficult for us to make you successful. So commit to the psychological process of online learning and then supplement that with these kinds of sessions. And I know that you come to every single session. We have private roundtables every Wednesday morning, just like we have public roundtables every Thursday morning. Come every week, work, and and you will get a community supporting you as well there, because people, there are a lot of other people like you who are doing the same process. And you will learn from that process, from that community, from the curriculum, and you should go ahead and participate in the as well. And every roundtable that you participate, you'll get a bunch of homework. You'll need to do those homeworks and then come and run there. What you learn more from the market, and as questions come up, you can get clarifications.
Yeah, that will be helpful. So I do plan on listening. Going through the curriculum. I think that is something I understand is the major offering from. But I do. I want to make sure that, just wanted to understand, at what process should I get involved with you guys. So I think you're saying, hey, if you have a bunch of ideas, it's drawn on later.
Yeah, you're going to need to learn how to validate those ideas. And other than that, how else are you going to proceed?
That's my major concern. I just don't want to go proceed like blindly in one path and figure out 2 years later, oops. So, no, that's helpful. So thank you, Sramana, for clarifying the questions.
You're welcome. Are you on the call? Maureen Kumar is on the call, and to take his call. Is anybody on the call that I have not called you called yet? No?
This is Naga. Can I ask one more question, if I may?
Sure.
So, based on your experience, because you have been doing this program for a long time now, so, typically how long does it take for entrepreneurs to run through the program? Based on...
Depends on what mode the entrepreneurs are doing, stage they're in, what mode they're doing it in. So if you're who is already doing this full time, to go aggressively and spend budget 50 hours in a very short time frame. You can budget 50 hours in a couple of week time frame and digest the entire core curriculum aggressively. For 6 months. That depends on what your situation is and what else is going on. Some people with jobs, right? They're doing part-time some people while running a services company and trying to build understanding of how to product services on the side. So you're actually running a business, which is like a more full-time job, and you're learning the curriculum on top. It really depends on your situation. Our estimate is about 50, 60 hour curriculum time is going, and then you come back to modules, Like for example, let's say you're working on positioning. You will come back to the positioning module and you're going to work specifically on sizing. You're going to come back and use that module. That's the mode in which people use the program. They go through a basic idea of the different pieces and revisit specific topics as their work specific issues. We have a very popular module called Sales 2.0. And this module is incredibly important, where we teach the sales process, how to build sales funnel, and how to use modern technologies to aid in the process. As they're developing their sales strategy and sales process, or fine-tuning their sales process, they come to that module. So there are lots of different modules, and you use it as working on that aspect of your business.
Thanks for clarifying. Basically, I was looking at the number of hours it would take, basically. I mean, it could be over several days or months, but I mean, generally, so you're saying that it's about 50 to 60 hours.
50 hours on the core, and then whatever you want to spend on electives.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. He is back on the call. Are you back on the call, Ashwini? All right. What's your
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we worked on thinking of a new idea of.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hello.
Ashwini, student?
Yes, of fourth year engineering student.
Okay. What are you working on? Go ahead.
I was telling that earlier we worked on few startups, but they were not successful. We are making a mobile application in chat application. Last year we saw these Facebook confession pages a lot. They were every campus started their confession pages. Then also saw the popularity of this secure anonymous caution facility. And so by observing all those things, then we are making a mobile chat application through which we chat with the people who are this is the thing we are doing like this.
Last 30 seconds of what you said. Can you repeat that?
A mobile chat application.
Competitive landscape for your mobile chat application. Are you able to? Are there existing competitors in the market? I'm going to tell
then better, ma'am.
I'm saying is that he's developing software all the time. He's already developed two he calls startups, which are basically two software, and he's going to develop another software without really analyzing whether this is viable or not, right? So Ashwini, my feedback to you is please don't develop anything until you do diligence to figure out whether there is market opportunity or not around your concept. Until you validate that market opportunity, please not waste your time developing software. We believe that you should be anything else. You should go and write a bunch of code. Please do not do that. It's a very bad methodology as far as startup concerned, and this is how a lot of startups fail. Is, because we're in industry and we have a lot of entrepreneurship that happens in the technology comes from engineers, right? Your sweet spot, or our sweet spot, I'm an engineer as well, sweet spot has been to develop stuff. And oftentimes what you end up with is a person looking for a problem to solve. And it is one of the worst ways to do entrepreneurship. So, to you, Ashwini, do not develop anything. You need to learn how to build a business first, and whether your concept is viable or not.
Ma'am, show my slides, ma'am. I hard work. We should take.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off because your line is really very unclear and we can't really hear you. So I don't want to it's very tedious for people to try to understand, speakers unless you have a clear. And I'm afraid we have to take you at this point. To call in. Otherwise, we will meet you back here on Thursday.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, go.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm Ashwani. I'm just telling them from there. I'm telling you that I did these things last year. Therefore, I started.
Slides anymore, Ashwini. Sorry, and we can't really hear you well. So it's a session where a lot of people are trying to make it a productive session. So we can't really have you time with a line that we cannot hear you. So let me try to take questions from people who are asking questions in the public chat as well. So Andrew Schwartz is asking, how much do you need for the curriculum per week? That is up to you. You need, as I said earlier, in total about 50, 60 hours of curriculum time to complete the core curriculum, and however much you want for the another 50, 60 hours for the is fine. But how much time you spend per week is something that you have to determine. It depends on your life. A lot of people, as I said, are doing it with a or running a business and doing the curriculum while a business. So it really depends on how you arrange your life. Also asking, does that mean you don't want us to prototype and test the market? Not until you analyze the business opportunity to a significant degree. So we teach you validation methodology. You position the product, you need to do all the competitive positioning work, you need to do all the validation work before you actually build anything. Once homework done, then you can build a prototype and test the market, but building and testing the market without doing the groundwork is not. How I'm helping getting co-founders? We don't. To help you get co-founders. I'm not familiar with Canvas, and I don't know what framework that is, but that's proven methodology for businesses. Fine. So for people who have questions about 1M and the premium program, I want to introduce you to Irina Patterson. Could please put your phone number, Skype ID, and email in the public. That would be great. I'll answer your question in a minute. There are lots of questions rolling on my screen. I'm trying to get to all of them. So if you put her phone number, Skype, and email on the screen. If you need to talk to someone and have more specific questions as you think about things later and as you dig around on the site, you feel free to call Irina. Skype, Irina_Patterson. Her Irina at 1m.com, and her phone number is 786-301-2456. A wonderful person. She's very patient and very warm, and she will be happy to talk to you and help clarify your doubts. And what is the best way to prove that depends entirely on what your product is, and there's all sorts of decisions to make in that process, that technology decisions, team decisions. This is a question that I do not have a 2-second answer to. But the curriculum addresses all aspects of it. We do that. As I said that, I just remember that we not make technology or architecture decisions. That is not something we do. Where are you dialing from? We are Germany, okay? Interested to see where people are dialing from. So if you want to introduce yourselves and tell us where you're coming from, what projects you're working on, please feel free to use the public chat. It's always very interesting to see the diversity and the types of projects that you're bringing together. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Your question is, do you have references from entrepreneurs who use the curriculum and been successful in the business? If you like, there are tons of testimonials. Look up testimonials on the site. You can look up the 1 million club of entrepreneurs who have used not only the curriculum but the full incubation program and have been successful. They're giving you the URL of the site itself. Where are you dialing from? Introducing himself. From Bangalore, Kindle Spark, developing linked curriculum for school life and thinking skills for grades 1 to 5. V is in New Jersey. N is also in New Jersey, V. Anybody else? Any other introductions, comments, questions? V is in the software consulting business for 18 years, hit the ceiling and looking for new ideas. So we, consulting backgrounds often generate a lot of, kinds of entrepreneurs. We see a lot of service businesses that's using content as a mode of getting their product both hatched and developed. It's a process we have, named bootstrapping using services. We have lots of companies in the program that are using the bootstrapping using services methodology. We're going to do a book on this topic soon. You will see that in the community comes through soon. Book right now. I'm done writing it. I'm editing that book. Thank you for bearing with the technical glitches from our international presenters today, but hope you enjoyed the session and found it helpful. We basically to get work done during these sessions. We're trying to address people's questions and comments, issues, strategic issues, and help them make progress. The whole point of this online touring. Thanks for sharing the 200th Roundtable with us, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week.